Let me tell you a story that starts with a gift, but ends in a lesson so sharp it'll make your bones ache. You ever give someone something straight from the heart, only to watch them let someone else snatch it away like it meant nothing? I bought my daughter a brand new car. Not just any car, a dream machine. Midnight black, top of the line, with that buttery leather interior that hugs you like success. She cried when I gave it to her. Real tears. I thought they were tears of joy. Turns out, I was wrong. 2 weeks later, that car was no longer in my daughter's name. Her husband, let's call him Derek, because snakes deserve names, had convinced her to sign it over to his sister. His sister, the same woman who couldn't keep a job longer than a TikTok trend. The same one who said I was controlling for helping my daughter with bills when Derek couldn't pay the damn light company on time. That day, I didn't just lose a car. I lost respect for my daughter, for the boy she married, and for the little leech of a sister-in-law who thought she played me. But let me tell you what I did next. Because I don't lose, I taught them all a lesson in power, in loyalty, and in the fine art of revenge served cold and wrapped in chrome. And oh, baby, what I gave my daughter next made the first car look like a tricycle. Buckle up. This isn't just a story. It's a reckoning. I remember the morning I saw the car gone from her driveway. It was a bright Saturday. One of those mornings where the sunlight feels expensive, like gold pouring from the sky. I drove over to drop off some baked goods and to check in, because even though my daughter's grown, she'll always be my baby. I pulled up and parked across the street. Her driveway was empty. At first, I thought maybe she'd taken the car out for a spin. But then I noticed Derek's truck, parked like a drunk toddler had left it. His truck was still there, but not her car, my car. Strange. I went inside. She looked off. You know how people have a kind of sheen to them when they're hiding something? She had that. Her smile was stretched thin, like it hurt to keep it together. She poured coffee with shaking hands. Her eyes wouldn't meet mine, and then it slipped, like guilt does. "Oh," she said, casual as a whisper, "we gave the car to Brielle. She needed it more." I laughed. I actually laughed, because I thought she was joking. But she wasn't. "We?" I asked. "What's this we you're talking about?" She looked at me, and for the first time in her life, I didn't recognize her. She said, "It was the right thing to do. She's trying to get back on her feet." I blinked. Trying to get back on her feet? Brielle was 32 years old and had never stood on her feet a day in her damn life. That girl jumped from couch to couch like a human ping-pong ball. She used tears like currency and pity like an ATM. And somehow, she convinced my daughter to give away the car I bought her. No, I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I didn't even raise my voice. I smiled, because when I get quiet like that, it means the storm is coming. Now, let me rewind just a little, because you need to understand why this hurt so deep. I didn't come from money. I built everything I have with blood, sweat, and choices that tasted bitter going down. I raised my daughter on my own, worked 2 jobs, and hustled in between. There were nights I skipped dinner, just so she could have enough to take lunch to school the next day. So when I got to a place in life where I could give back to her, I did it with pride. That car was a symbol, a thank you for being my rock when I was crumbling, a reward for every time she hugged me and said, "It's okay, Mom. We got this." And now she gave it away. For what? For a man? For his freeloading sister? That's when I realized this wasn't just a bad decision. This was manipulation. Derek had sunk his teeth in deep, and my daughter was drowning in denial. He'd wrapped her in guilt, twisted her love like a wet rag, and wrung it out until she didn't know up from down. So I left. I didn't argue. I kissed her on the cheek and told her I loved her. And then I started making moves. You see, some folks go petty, slash tires, call the cops, air out dirty laundry on Facebook. Not me. I go calculated. You come for my heart, I'll come for your soul. With a smile. First, I got my daughter a new car. But this time, I didn't surprise her. No, I invited her to lunch at a high-end cafe downtown, dressed like success, and had the valet pull up in a car that could make angels weep. Pearl white, sleek as sin, custom leather with her name stitched into the headrest. That scent of, "You'll never have to ask for permission again." She saw it and gasped. "That's yours," I said, "because I still believe in you, even when you forget to believe in yourself." Her eyes welled up, but before she could say anything, I leaned in. "This one stays in my name until I know you're ready to stand up for yourself again. No more giving away what you earned." And then I told her something else. I'm done with Derek and Brielle and anyone else who leeches off what I've built. I'm cutting them off. Financially, emotionally, permanently. You can visit me, call me, but they are not welcome in my life or in my peace. Now, this is where the story turns. Because when you cut off users, they panic, they get desperate, and desperate people do stupid things. Within a week, Brielle was posting passive-aggressive nonsense online. Some people can't stand to see others rise. Rise? Girl, you didn't even stand. You got carried. Derek tried calling me, left voicemails about family unity, and how I was tearing the family apart. That man wouldn't know unity if it hit him with a credit score. Then, the cherry on top, my daughter came to me, red-eyed, shaking. "They're trying to sell the car," she whispered. "The one I gave them." I smiled. Let them. Because guess what? I knew they would. Which is why I had put a tracker under the bumper before it left the driveway. It was technically still under warranty and registered to me because that paperwork they forged. Let's just say I had a lawyer on standby. I waited until they showed up at the dealership with forged documents and greedy little grins. That's when my lawyer and the cops showed up too. Turns out, using someone else's name and signing over property you don't own. It's called fraud. Oops, I didn't press charges, not because I didn't want to. Oh, I did, but I wanted something better. Isolation. I wanted them to sit in their shame, knowing they burned their bridge with the one person who ever gave a damn. My daughter. She saw the truth then. That love doesn't mean submission. That giving doesn't mean surrender. And that sometimes the best thing you can do for your future is to let the past burn behind you. She thanked me, truly thanked me, and swore she'd never let anyone dim her worth again. As for me, I sleep just fine, because I didn't just teach them a lesson, I reclaimed my peace. And I showed my daughter how to reclaim hers too. Peace is a strange thing. You don't realize how loud the world is until you finally get quiet. After the dust settled from Operation Cutoff, I sat in my garden one morning with my coffee, listening to the birds, the breeze, and nothing else. No calls, no drama, no Brielle. But peace? It never sits still for long. Not when parasites haven't found a new host. It started with a DM. Brielle, bold as ever, slid into my inbox with the most delusional paragraph I've ever read. She wrote, "Hey, I know we had our differences, but I think we should let bygones be bygones. Family is forever. I'm willing to forgive everything if we can talk." Forgive everything? Oh, honey, you were caught in the act like a raccoon in a trash can. You don't get to offer forgiveness when you're the one knee-deep in stolen property. I didn't reply. 2 days later, Derek showed up at my daughter's job. Now, keep in mind, they were separated by then, but not divorced. My daughter had been pulling away, bit by bit. The shine had worn off Derek's facade, and she finally saw the cracks. He stood in the lobby like some rom-com villain, holding flowers that were probably stolen from a neighbor's garden. She texted me, "He's here. He's crying. Good. Let him cry." He begged, swore he'd change, said he wasn't thinking straight when he let his sister take the car. Blamed stress, money, childhood trauma, Mercury in retrograde. Hell, he probably blamed the weather too. But here's the kicker. He told her I was manipulating her, that I was the problem, that I had poisoned her against him. That's when my daughter, my sweet, once naive baby, stood up tall and said something I'll never forget. "You didn't give me a reason to turn against you. You gave me proof." Oof, straight to the gut. That's growth. That's therapy in motion. Derek stormed out, and for a while, things were calm until Brielle hit rock bottom and tried to claw her way back up by any means necessary. Now, let me tell you something about people like Brielle. They don't evolve, they mutate. One day, she was working part-time at a vape shop. The next, she was launching a spiritual coaching business on Instagram. That's code for scamming people with Zodiac memes and charging $200 for energy realignment. When that failed, she got bold. And this is where it gets real spicy. She showed up at my door, unannounced. No warning, no shame. I opened the door, and there she was, wearing knock-off designer shades and holding a Starbucks like it was a peace offering. I didn't say a word, just stared. She smiled like we were old friends. "I came to talk," she said. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "Talk quick." She launched into the monologue of a lifetime. Said she was sorry, said she missed the family, said she wanted to heal the generational wounds. I raised one eyebrow. "You mean the wounds you created?" She laughed, and said, "You know what? You think you're better than everyone, don't you?" Ah, there it was. The truth under the mask. I stepped in closer. "No, sweetheart. I know I'm better because I worked for what I have. You steal, lie, manipulate, and when it all crashes down, you hide behind spiritual buzzwords and fake apologies." She started to speak, but I cut her off. "Go, before I call the police again, and this time I will press charges." She muttered something under her breath, turned, and left. I watched her walk down my driveway like she was trying to hold on to whatever dignity she had left. I shut the door, locked it, and never looked back. Now, let's talk about Derek, because you know he wasn't done. Once Brielle's scams started drying up and the sympathy train had no more passengers, he made one last attempt to get back in. He showed up to my daughter's new apartment, claiming he forgot his stuff there. She had already boxed it up and left it in the hallway. He got mad, tried to guilt her, said she was letting money ruin love. Oh, no, money didn't ruin love. He did, but it wasn't until he tried to use their daughter, their 2-year-old, as a pawn that things went nuclear. He said, "You're turning her against her father. That's abuse." That's when my daughter snapped. I'm protecting her from growing up watching a man walk all over her mother. That's love. She slammed the door in his face. Now, here's the best part. You remember the new car I got her? That pearl white stunner? After a year of clean driving, I transferred it to her name. Fully. No strings attached. But I also gave her something better. Her independence. She found a job she loved. started taking classes, found friends who respected her, not used her, and when the divorce was finalized, we had a little celebration. Nothing big, just a dinner, a bottle of wine, and a toast to cutting ties with toxicity. As for Derek and Brielle, last I heard, they were living together in a tiny apartment that reeked of desperation, trying to hustle Instagram followers into cash, jumping from couch to couch again, just like always. Because some people never change, but some do. And here's the real lesson. You don't always win battles by screaming, fighting, or dragging people. Sometimes you win by standing still and letting them fall on their own. I didn't need to ruin them. They ruined themselves. I just made sure the door was locked behind them. And my daughter? She rose from the ashes like the woman I always knew she could be. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction, it's elevation. And baby, we're flying now. Peace came in again, like a soft tide washing over the wreckage. After the war was over and the dust settled, it was quiet for a while. My daughter was healing. I was thriving. We were building, not just our lives, but our boundaries. But predators don't quit. They evolve, especially when they're starving. I should have seen it coming, but even I, in all my preparation, didn't expect what came next. Because just when I thought we were free of them, they came for my granddaughter. It started on a Sunday. I remember because we'd just come back from the park. My granddaughter had her curls in pigtails, cheeks flushed from laughter, still holding tight to the melted remains of a popsicle. We were home, dancing in the living room to old-school R&B when my daughter's phone buzzed. It was Brielle. A text. No, hello, no pleasantries, just, I want to see her. She's my niece. My daughter froze, her hands clenched. She looked at me, eyes wide like a child again. She didn't know what to say, so I said it for her. Absolutely not. Let me back up a second. You might be thinking, what's the big deal? Isn't family still family? Let me explain something to you. Brielle wasn't just a bad influence. She was a tornado wrapped in a glittery scarf. She didn't just manipulate, she devoured. And the idea of her wrapping her claws around that little girl, feeding her lies, planting toxic seeds. No, over my dead body. And trust me, I wasn't planning on going anywhere. But it didn't stop there. A few days later, we found out she'd posted a photo of my granddaughter on Facebook, a photo she had no right to have, a picture she took back when she was still allowed near us, before everything fell apart. The caption, missing my sweet baby girl, praying for the day I can see her again. No child should be kept from love. Cue the violins and the Facebook aunties commenting, so sad, and you're such a good aunt. We were livid. My daughter almost drove straight to her place, but I stopped her. I said, you don't fight roaches with fire. You lock up the food, seal the walls, and let them starve. And that's what we did. I had my lawyer send a cease and desist. Then, we petitioned for a formal no-contact order. Every angle, documented. Every threat, archived. Every lie, ready to be dismantled in court. Brielle responded the only way she knew how. Drama. She went live on Instagram, cried fake tears, called my daughter abusive, claimed I had brainwashed everyone, and then she crossed the final line. She said she was considering filing for aunt visitation rights. Let me repeat that. Aunt visitation rights. Girl, what? There's no such thing in our state. Not unless there's a custody battle and the parents are unfit. She had no ground to stand on, but she didn't care. She wanted attention, sympathy, pity, and money. She started a GoFundMe for legal fees, claimed she was fighting a corrupt system and a controlling ex-mother-in-law with deep pockets. Guess how much she raised? $48 and a Chick-fil-A gift card. Now, here's the moment I truly understood the power I held, not just as a mother, but as a matriarch. I sat down with my daughter and said, "Listen, we can't stop people like that from existing, but we can stop them from having access." So we got serious, changed daycares, enrolled my granddaughter under a private name, told teachers and staff that only 2 people were authorized for pickups, installed cameras at both homes, and made sure anyone trying to sneak in through social media was blocked, reported, and monitored. It was war, but silent, clean, legal. And then I made my move. You see, legacy isn't just what you leave behind. It's what you protect while you're here. So I called my lawyer and updated my will. Every asset, every account, every piece of land, stock, investment, and property I had, it was already in a trust. But I added something new, a provision that if my granddaughter were to ever be influenced, coerced, or legally attached to Derek or Brielle in any way, any portion of the trust designated to her would be temporarily frozen and redirected into a protective scholarship fund under third-party control. Basically, if they ever got their claws near her financially, they'd get nothing. I added a clause for education-only disbursement, managed by someone outside the family, with oversight, every step of the way, airtight. They would never touch a dime, not even through guilt, manipulation, or legal threats. Then I did one more thing. I wrote my granddaughter a letter, sealed it, put it in the trust. It starts with, "If you're reading this, that means someone tried to lie to you about who I was. So let me tell you the truth." And I laid it all out. Every decision, every sacrifice, every boundary we set to keep her safe. Because one day, when she's older, and someone tries to rewrite the past, I want her to have my words in my voice. I want her to know we didn't just fight back. We built walls so she could have peace inside. Now, my daughter is thriving. My granddaughter is happy. And me? I'm in the garden again. Coffee in one hand, power in the other. Brielle and Derek are out there somewhere. Probably still scheming, still broke, still bitter. But the best revenge is that we don't even think about them anymore. They lost access, lost relevance, lost us, and all they have left is each other. Which, if you ask me, is punishment enough. You ever heard the saying, "Give someone enough rope and they'll hang themselves"? Brielle knitted a scarf out of that rope, wore it proudly, and still didn't realize she was strangling her own damn self. I was done with her, done with Derek, done with the circus. But karma's got a flair for timing. And honey, it don't skip a soul. It started with a message request from a name I didn't recognize, Jessa Marie. Now, normally I don't open DMS from strangers. But something about this girl's profile photo made me pause. I clicked it and saw a selfie of her and Brielle, side by side, hugging. That fake bestie smile you know hides knives behind the teeth. But what caught my eye was the caption on her profile banner. Former friend, current truth teller, Chile. I opened the message. Hey, I know you don't know me, but I used to be really close with Brielle. We don't talk anymore. I saw everything she posted about you and your daughter, and I just want to say, she's been lying to everybody. She even lied on me. I think you deserve to know the whole story. I've got screenshots, receipts, voice notes, everything. Now listen. My hands didn't move fast enough. I replied, "I'm listening." And what Jessa sent me next? I had to pour myself a glass of wine, take off my earrings, and sit down. Because baby, it was juicy. Let's rewind the timeline for a second. Remember when Brielle launched that ridiculous GoFundMe for legal fees after claiming I was keeping my granddaughter away out of spite? Turns out, that whole pity party campaign was a scam from the jump. Jessa spilled all of it. Brielle never intended to take legal action. What she did intend to do was milk her social circle for sympathy cash, then blow it on a trip to Sedona for a healing retreat and a weekend of manifestation and wine tastings. But she didn't go alone. She took Derek. Yeah, you heard me. They weren't just close. They weren't just like siblings. They were together, behind the scenes, quietly, while my daughter was still married to him. While we were unraveling from their nonsense, they were playing house, hopping hotels, and taking selfies labeled "cleansing our energy." My daughter's husband, my granddaughter's so-called aunt, together, and everyone around them knew, except us. I took a breath. Not because I was shocked. I knew those two were poisonous. But this was a whole new level of rot. And Jessa, she didn't stop there. She sent screenshots of Brielle bragging in group chats. I finally got rid of her. That girl was always in the way. Derek's waking up now. He sees who's been really loyal. They're mad because I'm strategic. Oh, baby, you weren't strategic. You were sloppy. Because Jessa, she had every screenshot saved. And when Brielle burned her too, over money, of course, Jessa swore she'd never stay quiet again. So what did I do with all that? Did I go public? Did I confront them? Drag their dirty laundry through the streets? Nope. I sent it to my daughter. All of it. She went silent. Then she cried. Then she laughed. And then she posted one picture to her own social media. A photo of her and her daughter, smiling, radiant, happy. The caption? "We don't entertain clowns anymore, but we wish the circus well." It blew up. Subtle, elegant, and devastating. Everyone knew, and if they didn't, they asked. And when people ask questions, truth comes out. Brielle's GoFundMe dried up faster than her coaching clients. People started commenting things like, "I thought you said you were single," and "Wait, wasn't he your sister's husband?" She started losing followers, sponsors, credibility. Derek? His job got wind of the drama because someone sent an anonymous tip with screenshots about inappropriate behavior. They let him go quietly. And just like that, the throne they tried to steal crumbled under them. No crowns, no kingdom, just karma. Now, if you think this is just about revenge, let me stop you right there. This story, it's about redemption, boundaries, the power of walking away with grace and receipts. My daughter is now a woman who doesn't just survive storms. She builds levees. She's dating again, slowly, carefully. Someone kind, with no secret sisters, no hidden motives, and no spiritual side hustles. A real one. My granddaughter? She's in ballet now. Lights up every room. The joy in her laugh is louder than the drama ever was. And me, I'm just here, sipping my tea, sometimes wine, and watering my garden. Because when you've done the work, the healing, and the letting go, you don't chase revenge. You just watch them trip over their own lies and fall off stages they built out of borrowed applause. By this point, you'd think the saga was done. You'd think they'd lay low, lick their wounds, maybe pick up a little humility on the way down. But no, not this dynamic duo of dysfunction. They were quiet for a while. Yes, but not because they'd learned. No, they were scheming. And the silence, that was the kind of quiet that happens just before a storm explodes. And baby, the thunder that rolled in, it wasn't from the sky. It started with another anonymous message. Different this time. No drama, no screenshots, just a few lines. "Hey, I saw your daughter's story a while back, and I thought you should know. Derek works for my cousin now. He's using a fake name. But that's not the wild part. I think Brielle forged his signature on some loan papers. I stared at the message. Now, let me tell you something. I've always been good at patterns. People think revenge is about chaos, but it's not. It's about strategy. And if someone's dropping that kind of information in your lap, you don't ignore it. You investigate. I made a few discreet calls. You know the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, I knew just enough. Within a week, I got confirmation. Derek had been hired at a small contracting firm under a different name, Derek Ellis. He submitted a resume using someone else's work history. Copy-paste job, real amateur hour. But the real kicker? A business loan had been taken out in his name. The co-signer? Brielle. But wait, she didn't co-sign like a normal human being. She forged it. And get this, the money wasn't used for a business. It went to pay off her credit card debt, buy influencer equipment, and book a non-refundable business retreat in Tulum that never even happened because she got denied at the airport for passport issues. Oh yes, the clownery was international. Now, at this point, you might think, why not just let them destroy each other? And trust me, I considered it. But here's the thing. They were sloppy. And when sloppy people get desperate, they make dangerous moves. I wasn't going to wait for one of those moves to land near my family again. So I did what any mother with a backbone and a good lawyer does. I made a call, not to the police, to a bank fraud investigator I had worked with during a previous business audit. Let's just say we were on Christmas card terms. I handed him every document, every message, even the original signature card from Derek's employment papers, so they could match it against what Brielle had submitted for that loan. And that's when the trap snapped shut. The fallout was poetic. The loan company launched an official investigation. Brielle was notified that she was under suspicion for identity theft and fraud. Derek was contacted for questioning, and in a panic, he flipped. Oh yes, snake turned on snake. He gave them emails, receipts, even a voice recording where Brielle bragged about doing it. He'll never find out. He doesn't even check his mail. She laughed in that recording. No one was laughing now. They were facing charges. And what did Brielle do? She tried to spin the story. Again, claimed she was coerced, that Derek begged her to do it, and she was just trying to help. The investigator didn't even blink. I've heard better lies from children caught with chocolate on their face. They both went down. Not hard time, not yet, but restitution, community service, fines, and most importantly, a permanent red flag on their credit and employment records. They could barely open a checking account after that. And their empire? Gone. Tulum? Canceled. Healing retreats? More like court-ordered financial literacy classes. And, you want to know the best part? We didn't have to lift a finger beyond that first move. They fought each other harder than we ever could have. Because when two selfish people go down together, it's not teamwork, it's cannibalism. Meanwhile, on our side, life moved onward and upward. My daughter bought her first home, with her name on the deed, her own money, and her own strength. My granddaughter's in preschool now, winning hearts with her glittery sneakers and a backpack full of confidence. And me? I started mentoring other women, mothers, daughters, even strangers online, on how to set up protective financial structures. Because it's one thing to survive a storm. It's another thing to build a dam that keeps it from ever reaching your people again. So here's the real ending. Brielle and Derek thought they were the main characters. But the story was never about them. It was about a woman who refused to watch her daughter be erased, disrespected, and used. It was about the strength it takes to cut off your own blood when they become venom, and the faith it takes to believe that the truth will rise. Eventually, beautifully, and with receipts. They're out there still, probably blaming everyone but themselves, still trying to resuscitate their egos with Instagram quotes and discount crystals. But we don't hear them anymore, because we're too busy thriving. Sometimes, when people lose access to you, they spiral, not because they miss you, but because they can't control you anymore. That's when the tantrums hit. The desperation, the stunts, and baby, the stunt Brielle pulled at the end. Oh, she saved her worst for last. But let me tell you right now, it was the most satisfying checkmate I've ever witnessed in my life. It was my granddaughter's 5th birthday. We'd rented a beautiful event space in town. Garden lights strung across the ceiling, princess balloons, a chocolate fountain taller than the kids, and a DJ who knew exactly how to keep little girls dancing and grown folks smiling. It was joy, pure, radiant joy. We were surrounded by our people, the real ones. My daughter had even teared up during the toast, thanking everyone for standing by her through hell and helping her build a new life. It was the kind of night that reminded you why we fight for peace. And right when the birthday cake came out, with my granddaughter in the middle, grinning, tiara crooked on her head, someone shrieked, "Is that Brielle?" Now you'd think by now she'd have gotten the message, that she'd feel the shame of everything she'd done. But nope, not her. She walked into the venue like she belonged there. Long wig, sunglasses at night, cheap heels clacking like a warning bell. She wasn't invited. She wasn't expected. But there she was, dragging a gift bag and a grin that didn't reach her eyes. People went silent. The DJ cut the music. Kids froze, sensing the shift. Parents looked at each other like, "Who let this ghost in?" And before I could even move, my daughter stood up, graceful, calm, steady. She walked over to Brielle and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You need to leave. Now." Brielle tried to put on the victim mask again. "I'm just here to give my niece her birthday gift." My daughter didn't blink. "You don't have a niece here. You forfeited that title the day you betrayed me and tried to manipulate my child's future." And that's when Brielle made her mistake. She raised her voice. Big mistake. Because what she didn't know was that the venue had private security, per my instructions. I'd quietly hired them, knowing full well that a roach always tries to come back when you've sealed the cracks. They were already moving the second she stepped through the door. Security approached. She tried to argue. "I'm family." They showed her the restraining order. Yes, my daughter had finalized a civil no-contact order months earlier, just in case. And there it was, printed, signed, and laminated. "You know I don't play." Brielle's eyes went wide. She started looking around for allies, sympathy, anything. Crickets. And then, as if the universe wanted to give us one more gift, the DJ forgot to turn his mic off before walking away from the table. So the entire venue, every speaker, every child, every parent heard the moment security muttered into his earpiece. "We've got her." The aunt who forged the loan and showed up uninvited, walking her out now. Oof! You could feel the collective gasp ripple across the room. Like a wave of judgment slapping Brielle in the face, she tried to say something, a lie, a spin, a last-ditch excuse. But at that point, no one cared. Security escorted her out like the episode was over, and she'd missed her cue. And as the doors closed behind her, my granddaughter looked up at her mom and whispered, "Was that a bad fairy?" My daughter smiled. "No, baby, just someone who forgot the party wasn't about her." We cut the cake, The music came back on. Laughter returned. And Brielle? She was left outside, probably crying on live, holding that useless gift bag full of guilt she couldn't give away anymore. So here's how the story ends. Derek is working a construction job 2 towns over, broke, tired, and trying to rebrand himself as a motivational speaker on TikTok. Last I checked, he had 38 followers, most of them bots. Brielle is deep in debt, banned from every business she scammed, and no longer welcome at family events, even the ones she used to run. Her influencer career has shriveled up into nothing but expired promo codes and dusty ring lights. My daughter? She just got promoted. She's running a team of women like herself, warriors in lipstick and heels. Her glow? Untouchable. My granddaughter? She's dancing in recital this spring. Front row, full of life, 0 shadows behind her. And me? I sleep like a baby, because I protected mine, held the line, and never stooped to their level, even when it would have felt real good. Listen, never feel guilty for cutting off the people who hand you scissors first. You owe loyalty to truth, not to titles. And just because someone calls themselves family doesn't mean they aren't a thief, a snake, or a saboteur. Sometimes blood doesn't make you related. Love does. Integrity does. Actions do. And in this house, we protect peace like it's priceless, because it is.